Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're heading out on a virtual expedition, and our destination? The incredible, almost unbelievable landscapes of Jammu and Kashmir.
So think about this for a second. How is it even possible for one single region to have sun-baked plains, a super lush valley, and some of the highest mountain peaks on the entire planet? Well, the answer is a dramatic geologic story. And to really get it, we're going to travel the same way the landscape was formed, starting low in the southern plains and climbing our way north, layer by layer, right into the high Himalayas.
Okay, first things first, let's get our bearings. We're talking about the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, a place that is literally defined and walled in by some of the most powerful mountain ranges on Earth.
And before we start our climb, just take a look at the life this geography supports. You know, these official symbols, they aren't just random pictures. They're actually clues. The super rare Hongol stag, the iconic Chinar tree, every single one is a direct product of this unique environment. They tell the story of the land itself.
All right, our ascent starts right here in the south. This is basically the gateway to the Himalayas. It's where the huge, flat plains of India start to kind of ripple and fold into the very first foothills.
So, imagine you're driving up from Punjab. You'd cross the Ravi River and suddenly find yourself in this landscape that just feels vast and flat. This area, which locals call Andhwa, is incredibly fertile. And that's because it was built up over thousands of years by all the silt deposited by these great rivers flowing down from the mountains. One of the really key features you'd notice here are these things called khads. Now, for most of the year, they're just these wide, stony, dry riverbeds. But during the monsoon, they completely transform into these powerful, raging torrents. It's a really dramatic reminder of the mountain's power, even way down here on the plains. Okay, time to leave the plains behind. The road starts to climb, and we are now entering the first real mountains of our expedition, the Lesser Himalayas. These are basically the Himalayas foothills, and what's interesting is, geologically speaking, they're the youngest part of the whole mountain system. They were basically formed from all the compressed rubble that washed down from the bigger ranges as they were rising up. So they aren't giants yet, but they mark a huge change in the terrain.
And tucked in between these shivalik hills, you find these long, flat-bottomed valleys. They're called duns. They're carved out by erosion, and they provide this perfect, fertile ground for people to settle, which is why they're home to important towns like Udhampur.
Now, check this out. You can see a really unique feature of the shivaliks here. The slopes, they're not smooth, right? They have this distinct, almost wave-like pattern. This is what's known as the Kandi Belt, a landscape of rolling hills that really defines this whole zone. Okay, so once we're through the shivaliks, we come face to face with a much more imposing barrier, the Pir Panjal Range. This thing is a massive wall of rock. It's the longest and most significant range in the Lesser Himalayas, and it basically separates the Jammu region from the Kashmir Valley.
But this range is so much more than just a wall. It's a world all its own. It's the birthplace of rivers, it's home to the famous ski slopes of Gulmarg, and it's the site of the sacred Vaishno Devi Shrine. And, most critically, it holds the keys to the kingdom, the mountain passes, like the Banihal Pass, that let us cross into the valley beyond.
So we cross the Pir Panjal, going through the historic Banihal Pass, and boom! The landscape transforms again, completely. We descend from these high peaks into the wide, oval-shaped expanse of the legendary Kashmir Valley. What makes the valley so special is its geography. I mean, it's a perfect basin. It's cradled by the Pir Panjal Range we just crossed to the south, and then it's walled in by the even more massive Great Himalayan Range to its north. It's just perfectly tucked away. Now, as you look across the valley floor, you'll see these kind of strange flat-top plateaus that just rise up out of nowhere. These are the Karoa Siddha, and their origin story, well, that's the secret to the valley itself. So how in the world did they form? It's an absolutely incredible story. The entire valley, it used to be a giant lake. Tectonic forces basically blocked its only outlet, and for thousands and thousands of years, sediment just washed in from the mountains and settled at the bottom. Then, another massive tectonic shift created an opening, and the whole lake just catastrophically drained away, leaving behind these thick, flat deposits. And this is the direct link between that ancient geology and modern culture. That ancient lakebed sediment created the perfect soil, the Karewas. And that unique soil is the reason Kashmir is one of the only places on Earth that can grow world-class saffron, not to mention amazing almonds and walnuts. But hold on.
our expedition isn't over yet, not even close. We now leave the relative comfort of the valley and begin our final, most dramatic ascent into the realm of the true giants, the Great Himalayas and beyond.
The best way to think about this part is like a series of immense parallel walls, each one higher than the last. First, you hit the Great Himalayas, which act as this massive climate barrier, shielding India from Arctic winds. Beyond that, you've got the Zanskar Range, separating Kashmir from Ladakh. Then you hit the Ladakh Range, and finally, at the very, very top, the wild and rugged Karakoram, home to some of the planet's highest peaks.
You know, it's actually hard to wrap your head around the scale we're talking about. So let's put some numbers to these peaks. It's the only way to really appreciate the sheer verticality of this landscape.
Okay, this is Nun Peak. At over 7,100 meters, it's the highest mountain entirely within the current boundaries of the UT. And just to put that into perspective for you, that's like stacking more than 23 Eiffel Towers one on top of the other. It's a colossal peak.
And then there's Nanga Parbat. At over 8,100 meters, it is the 9th highest mountain on Earth. It's known as the Killer Mountain, and this legendary peak acts as the massive western anchor for the entire Himalayan range, a true giant.
And this one chart, this perfectly captures our entire journey. We started down in the low Shawaliks, we climbed over the formidable Pir Panjal, and we ended in the shadow of the Great Himalayas. That's a journey that took us up more than 5,000 meters in average elevation. Just incredible.
So think about it, from flat plains that feel just like North India, to a valley literally born from an ancient lake, and finally to the base of some of the highest mountains on Earth, all within just a few hundred kilometers. The geography of Jammu and Kashmir is just this powerful reminder of how complex, how dynamic, and how absolutely astonishing our planet really is.